giant head! You hear yourself? I made like 2,000 of these. I'd like to have fun. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Let's go! Let's absolutely go! Iggy, let's go! Here, you want it? Yeah! Buddy, oh, that's not big enough. That's not big enough. They just won a series, but here, come here. So, I go. Let's go! Victory Puppy's going to the second round! Yes! I am going to do my absolute best to get through this without crying. Leafs win! 2-1 in overtime of Game 6, eliminating the Tampa Bay Lightning and advancing to the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs for the first time since 2004. Look, there's been a lot of stats getting thrown around out there. They're 0-9 or 0-10 and 0-11 in elimination games since whatever date, depends when you start from. But this is it. This is the only thing you need to send your friend who thinks you're overdoing it for a first round victory. From Jessica Corbett, Sheldon Keefe is the only living person who has coached the Toronto Maple Leafs to a series win. Red Kelly, who passed in 2019, had been the last surviving among Leafs head coaches to win at least one playoff series. That is how long ago 2004 was! And that is why I'm gonna savor this one with my whole body! Sweating bullets and I haven't even got to the read yet! Speaking of, it's the playoffs that are continuing for the team that I cheer for, finally! Get in the game and make your next bet with Sports Interaction. Bet before the game or live in play on all your favorite hockey matchups, like against the Bruins or Panthers, for example. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN and download the Sports Interaction app, but only if you're 19 plus, silly goose. And speaking of 19 plus, that's how long it's been. This game happened and I'm shooting this video on April 29th, 2023. The Leafs last got a series-clinching goal, a series-clinching win against the Ottawa Senators April 20th, 2004. Here's how long it's been, dude. I've been making these YouTube videos since 2007. I picked the worst time in human history to start a YouTube channel dedicated to making a video after every single Leaf game. The 2007-2008 season, at the end of it, they drafted Luke Schenn. At the end of it. And even 2007 is nothing because you know what was launched in February of 2005? YouTube! YouTube was launched February 2005. A year! Almost a calendar year after the Leafs won their last playoff series. They're climbing cars and buses and street poles in Toronto. There was a power outage planned for Durham region that they had to delay until after this game, which I'm now realizing might affect the production of this video. I should probably hurry up and get this to Drew. Hi, Producer Drew. Oh man, Producer Drew, you cheer for the Avalanche. Dude, you feel like this all the time? Why do you ever complain about anything? I'm dripping. I'm drenched. Let's go! Tell you what, let's talk about the game and then we can talk about what it means. Excuse me while I get into my ginger ale. Man. I tell you what, you might feel like a silly goose right now for the way that you reacted negatively after the Leafs lost Game 5. And here's the thing for everyone who thinks they overreacted or thinks that Leafs fans overreacted. You don't know this life! You have a 3-1 series lead and so what? You lost Game 5. You still have a 3-2 series lead. You are thinking about this in the context of normal sports teams. Yes, the team that has a 3-1 series lead has a something like 92% chance of advancing to the next round. But that gives us no comfort. It hung over us like a pox, like a kiss of death, like a curse. The night of Game 5 was tough. The day after Game 5 was tough. And I woke up this morning and it was like any other day. Oh, there was the general, bubbling under the surface excitement that you get on a playoff game day. It was there. You could feel it, but it was excitement. And it was normal, average, common. It didn't feel like a doomsday scenario. 2021, yeah. 2022, last year, I pretended like it wasn't, but yeah. This year, no. I just calmly listened to some quotes from Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Schenn, who just were not very fussed. And who both had unreal games, by the way. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who did. And if you do have the name of someone who did, I don't care and I don't want to hear it. They're all beautiful, precious, baby darling children to me today. We needed someone to act like it was a day like any other because I've been trying to get this through into my head and into Leafs Nation's head, everyone's heads, that winning a playoff series is normal. It's normal. Most other teams do it. Not every year. Not every year do they do it. But every year there are 8 series in the first round and there are 8 victors. 8 teams that make it on. And then there's 4 teams. And then 2. And then 1. But this team has been looking at it like a boo, scary monster. And I found a stat today that I thought perfectly summed it up. And I promise you this leads into the game. The last time the Leafs lost a game in the playoffs where they were the only team who can be eliminated. It wasn't a game 7. It wasn't a winner take all. It was the other team had an advantage in the series over them and could eliminate the Leafs. The last time the Leafs lost a game where they were the only team who could be eliminated was Game 6 against the Washington Capitals in 2017. In winner-take-all games, that's Game 7s and Game 5 against the Blue Jackets in the bubble, the Leafs are 0-5 in those winner-take-all games. In the games where the Leafs are the only team who can eliminate a team that night. Just like in Game 5, when the Leafs were the only team who could eliminate the other out of them and Tampa. The Leafs are 0-4 in those scenarios since that series against the Capitals. But since Game 6 against Washington in 2017, when the Toronto Maple Leafs are the only team who can be eliminated, they are a perfect 3-0. Undefeated. And it was at that moment I finally understood the difference between trying to win and trying not to lose. The Leafs know how not to lose. But winning, it's a whole new ballgame. It's the difference between holding the fort and storming the castle. And in Game 6, the Leafs had the opportunity to storm Tampa's castle, Amalie Arena, and take 3 of 3 and their entire season from them. So what did they do? Wild lineup changes. Aston Reese, Lafferty, and Justin Hall all taken out of the lineup. Sheldon Keefe goes with the Slurpee lineup, the 7-11, 7 defensemen and 11 forwards. Eric Gustafsson, how are you? Thrown into an elimination game, first game of the playoffs. Timothy Liljegren, how are you? Thrown into elimination game, his first game of the playoffs. Michael Bunting, first line player. Hey, tell you what, welcome back. You're not a healthy scratch anymore or suspended. You're going to be playing on a line with Ryan O'Reilly. Hope that's okay. Hope that's all right with you. And also, you're going to get sparing shifts with Austin Matthews. Hope that's okay. The Lightning, no changes. Not a one. And immediately, as the game began, you could tell that this game was different. It was different from 3, 4, and 5 in this series, where Tampa controlled the lion's share of the play. There were times where Tampa still forced the Leafs to do things that the Leafs didn't want to do, and the Leafs dumped it out without possession, and the Leafs were icing the puck, and Tampa won a ton of draws in the Leaf zone. It was slightly terrifying, but the Leafs were doing the little things that they need to win. 7.5 minutes in, Steven Stamkos trips on William Nylander, and it's going to be very hard to get penalties called in Game 6, but you gotta call that one. Leafs have the power play, and they look good, they look decent, but here comes Tampa as well. They get their own opportunities, they kill it off, and the Leafs waste a valuable opportunity, and it feels like it's pouring through their fingers like golden sand. It feels like the Leafs are utterly doomed, and I tell you what, look up at the Jumbotron, look up at the scoreboard, it's 0-0. It's a tie game. They're fine. This might go down as the night that Leafs fans stop thinking like Leafs fans. Any other fan base is like, it's still, nothing changed. It's fine. Dude, I'm drenched. 5 minutes left in the period. Kucherov trips TJ Brody, takes both his legs out. Kucherov doesn't even protest the thing. The Leafs have another power play opportunity. And this one looked better, and this one looked dangerous, and still Andrei Vasilevsky continues his excellent play from Game 5, and the Leafs head in intermission with a 0-0 draw. Shots were 10-7 Tampa after one. It didn't feel like a decided advantage for Tampa, though. And yet still, you couldn't help but feel like the Leafs got 2 power plays in the first period. 2-0. Listen, it's not my first time here. The Leafs are going to get 2 penalties in the second period, and there's going to be none in the third. Pretty sure I called this on the stream on Sportsnet several times. Was it what happened, you asked? Oh, you'll never guess. 23 seconds into the period, Luke Schenn high-sticking against Steven Stamkos, and no argument here. It's a high stick. I'm just not happy about it. The penalty kill. This was so key in this series. The Leafs power play has been a liability at times in their playoff history in recent memory. They outscored Tampa's power play 6-5 in this series, and a big reason for that, apart from the power play being pretty decent, is the penalty kill against those monsters. Those actual under your bed and in your closet monsters that Tampa has on the power play. Which takes us deeper into the second period, which takes us to a little conversation about this roster's makeup. Who is everyone yelling about and pointing the fingers at after Game 5? Justin Holl. People were talking about Justin Holl. I was talking about Justin Holl. And listen, the dude has been on the ice for 14 out of Tampa's 20 goals before Game 6. That's wild. That's unacceptable. That's unmanageable. That's unplayable. Sheldon Keefe made the change. He went with 7D, and Holl wasn't one of them. And while I think that's a good change and a worthwhile change, this shouldn't be the conversation. I don't know if any Tampa fans were heading into Game 6 going, you know what? The Lightning would really run the Leafs over if Zach Bogosian just picked up his socks. We're talking about your third pair right D. You don't want him to be a liability, but that shouldn't be what wins or loses you a series. What wins and loses you a series, ask Tampa. Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman. These guys win you series. These guys win you championships. Sometimes you need your best player, your most skilled player, your most dynamic, and devastating player to go out there and have a demonic shift. And nearly 14 minutes into the second period, that's exactly what Austin Matthews does. He takes the puck in the neutral zone and advances it up the ice. He gets one opportunity on the backhand wide. Play keeps going. The Leafs keep it alive. Matthews gets another opportunity, and it's stopped by a brilliant save from Andrei Vasilevsky. That was a well-placed shot and an even better save. And Matthews gets it to Brody. And look at this. Look at the general out there. Matthews pointing says, TJ, I want it now. Brody to Matthews. Poppy pulverizes the thing. Back of the net. Express delivery. And the Leafs have taken the lead. The Leafs have the lead. In Game 6, in Tampa. If the score stays this way, they win the series. This is where they were last year. Oh my God, this is where they were last year, man. Oh, they got a 1-0 lead. Oh my God, that's awful. Oh, what are they doing getting a 1-0 lead? What's wrong with these guys? Don't they watch the game tape? Don't they remember anything? We're screwed, dude. We're absolutely screwed. No. The Leafs having a lead is a good thing. TJ Brody immediately takes a tripping penalty against Anthony Cirelli. No. It's good though. It's good. See? Because they have the power play, and even if they score in the power play, I really hope they don't score in the power play, but if they score in the power play, they only tie it up. That's it. They only tie it up. And the Leafs penalty kill without, honestly, TJ Brody, that was the best game of his life. That was the best game of his life. The Leafs penalty kill survives without Brody, keeping it away from the Lightning, dogged on the puck all night. That is easily the most aggressive the Leafs have been in this series. They were playing to win, not playing not to lose. And we head into second intermission, and they have the lead, and it's just like last year, and it's just like 2018, and it's just like another year that I'm probably forgetting because there are layers and layers to this trauma onion that is this hockey team. But you gotta believe. It's good to be up 3-2 in a series. It's good to be up 1-0 at second intermission. You gotta believe. You gotta feel it in your soul. You gotta be thankful you're alive, that you get to watch this, and is that Stevens? What? No! Getting to the third, the Lightning hem the Leafs in. The Leafs aren't attacking nearly as aggressively. They're playing not to lose, and Tampa was playing to win. Tampa was playing with a desperation to survive, to get the job done. Stamkos somehow gets lost in the fray, shoots from a wide open spot, and that is the only shot that would make its way past Ilya Samsonov this evening. But we didn't know that at the time. What did we all think? Here we go again! This is gonna be remembered like everything else. It was 4-1 in 2013. They had the lead in the third period in 2018. They had the lead in the third period of Game 6 last year. Dude, I looked it up during the stream. That game was nuts. I completely forgot how nuts it was. The Lightning were up 2-0 in the second. Matthews scores the Leafs' first goal of the game. Where have I heard this before? To cut the lead to 1. And then Tavares scored twice in 30 seconds in the final minute of the second period to give the Leafs the lead heading into the third. And I'm sure you remember what happened. Kerfoot and the rather unfortunate high stick that maybe shouldn't have oughta and sorta was. Tampa ties it. Braden Point wins it. They go to Toronto and take Game 7 in our building. Listen, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Third period, ugly. Tampa outshot the Leafs 11-4. The Leafs were still doing good things, and they were getting themselves out of that shell that they were still temporarily playing in because they just had no momentum after the Tampa goal. And they're forechecking, and they're taking the puck off of guys, and they're doing the right things, and they're getting the puck out when they have the opportunity to, which Matthew Knies didn't do on that one goal. And Matthew Knies starts to play like a player who's determined to do this. Noel Acciari, a monster all night. Brody and McCabe looks shaky in moments, but Brody dragged him through the battle. Shen and Riley can stay together forever as far as I'm concerned. Keith relying surprisingly heavily on Liljegren in the third period. Samsonov has to make some brilliant saves just to get us there for the second year in a row. Game 6, with the series on the line, we head to overtime. One last thing before we get to overtime, TJ Brody high sticks Brandon Hagel in the face. There's no arguing against it. He high stick Brandon Hagel in the face. And fortunately, producer Drew called it. That's a clear high stick at the end of the game. Leafs got the hockey gods on their side tonight, methinks. JT is gonna win it for them. Tweeted at 9:42 p.m. Eastern. We got the receipts. And let's get two things out of the way. One, it was a high stick call, and it should have been called. Two, it's Game 6, and we know it's not gonna get called in the final minute of regulation. And 3, Brandon Hagel sold it like day-old bread. Now, while I was streaming, I took a little gander at Twitter just before heading back to call overtime in front of thousands of people. Yeah. And I saw James Myrtle of The Athletic tweet this. Tavares down at 15 minutes heading into overtime and doesn't have a shot yet. Need him to step up here. And listen, no hate to James. Don't you dare hate on Myrtle. He was right. Keith played the wheels off of anyone who he thought was playing well. Kampf got a lot of ice. Liljegren got a lot of ice. Knies got a lot of ice. Matthews got a lot of ice. If I remember correct, oh my God, Acciari. Acciari was unreal. Brody, he had to have played 45 minutes. I'm not going to look. But there were times, especially the latter half of that game, where I was like, I haven't seen Tavares or Marner for a while. And heading into the game, like Yarncroke with Tavares and Marner, that might have been the best iteration of that line. Where is it? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't this working? Well, overtime begins, and doesn't JT take that puck for a little walk? While Tavares is taking the puck for a little walk, he's going along the blue line, and he has a little miscommunication with Luke Shen, and he passes it to nobody, and decides, well, I'm somebody, why don't I pick it up? And he picks it up, and he keeps it going, and Riley's in there, and Matthew Knies finds a way to get the puck back to him. And Tavares goes around the net, and he's still taking it for a walk. And he does a thing that so many have done before him, just put it on net. Spins, fires Tavares' only shot of the game, and the Leafs' only shot in overtime. It happened in slow motion. It happened like it wasn't even real. Off of the skate of Darren Radish, and that means the Leafs scored. That means the Leafs won. That means they're going to the second round. The Leafs needed Tavares to be better. They needed him to step up, and he did. He scored their biggest goal in nearly 20 years. Dude, these playoff streams that I've been doing for Sportsnet, they take a lot out of you. Like, I'm drenched. I'm actually drenched right now. And I spent 20 minutes after the game ended lying on the floor responding to texts because I had no energy left for this video. I found it. And I was thinking about the first stream we ever did. You know the first stream we ever did? Game 1 of the 2021 playoffs, Leafs Habs. And we're 9 minutes into this thing that I barely even know how to do, and I'm just talking over like stretchers coming out and no one having any idea what's going on. And 2 years later, he's the hero. Johnny Toronto is the hero who finally brings the Leafs to the second round for the first time since 5 years before he was drafted. Tavares was like 13, dude, the last time they won. I was only 16. How many people in the room with someone watching this right now weren't even alive? So if it feels like Leafs fans are disproportionately worked up about a first round win, that's why. It's cost us parts of ourselves to remain fans of this cartoonishly ridiculous hockey team. I started this channel in 2007. They were garbage, hot garbage for more than half a decade before we even got to 2013, a team that rode on nothing but adrenaline and save percentage and shooting percentage. And they do something that has never been done before, blowing a 3-goal lead in the third period of Game 7. And still we stayed. And the team let us down year after year after year after that until they go hamster Huey and the gooey kablooey and they decide to go full rebuild, and still we stayed. What followed a brilliant rookie season for Nylander and Matthews and Marner, a disappointing loss in the first round, but hope sprang eternal. This young group, they are going to be contenders in short order. Game 7, 2018. Game 7, 2019. 2020, the world stopped. That was in Game 5, and that one wasn't even a real series. They lost that one too. Colossal screw up at the hands of the Montreal Canadiens, down 3-1 in the series, coming back to humiliate the Leafs. And then last year, the Leafs get respect in the handshake line, still, once again, losing in 7 to the Lightning. I didn't even mention the time they lost to their own 42-year-old Zamboni driver who worked for them, just sprinkled in the middle of all that. And still, we stayed. We deserve this moment. This night is ours. This day is ours. This feeling is ours. And here's where we got to bring it back down to earth just a little. They're a quarter of the way there. This is what I was trying to say. This series win, this one, is special. It's the first one for so many of the guys in that room. They know how to do it now. They sometimes say that you can't win until you know how. They know how now. They won. They didn't just beat anybody. They beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. And let me tell you, Tampa Bay Lightning fans, if you are watching this right now, everyone that I talk smack about, Pat Maroon, Brandon Hagel, John Cooper, what an honor to go through the Lightning and cut your teeth on the Stanley Cup Playoffs and what it takes to win, bashing into those absolute mountain rams that are the Tampa Bay Lightning. What an honor. 3 straight Stanley Cup victories, and had their bodies not be worn and torn from going to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals in far less than 3 calendar years. Maybe they come away with this series. But they know that if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And the reaction of the Lightning in that handshake line made me respect them so much. There was some dejection. They were a little sad. I'm sure they didn't like getting eliminated in the first round. But there were smiles and chuckles, and they felt genuinely good for the Leafs because they know what it costs. And the Leafs were worthy. The Leafs were worthy and beat them in a 6-game series, and they're sportsmen. When they're yapping at the refs, when they're doing stuff after the whistle, when all they're trying to do is win. What were the Leafs trying to do? Win! They learned a little bit about winning. And when it comes to playoff hockey, there's no better team to learn from than the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. They're going to be back next year. They might look a little different. Salary cap is a thing. Age is a thing. They're going to be back. The Tampa Bay Lightning aren't going away, and they're not going to be any easier to beat next year. It's very possible, and dare I say likely, these two teams collide in the playoffs again next year. But this series that is so special and will live with the Leafs forever is the first. It's just one series. Next year, they know how to do it again. And I tell you what, how about next week? How about next week? Everyone was asking me, who do you want in the second round? Do you want the Panthers or the Bruins? And here's my answer. I want whoever's worthy. Because the Leafs proved they were worthy by beating the Lightning. Who wins between the Bruins and the Panthers is their business. The Leafs had a job to do, and they did it. The Bruins and the Panthers have a job to do. Whoever does it will be the worthy team. Whoever does it is the better team. Whoever does it deserves a shot at a team who earned their shot. Bring it on, whoever it is. Because now, once it's all said and done and it's all settled and we know who's going to be playing in the second round, it's down to 8. 8 teams remaining to win the Stanley Cup. And all of a sudden you realize it's not all about winning the first round. It's not all about 2004. It's not all about just getting past the Lightning somehow. It's about that. It's about the Stanley Cup. About being the best. About being the victors. About being the champions. A 2-month journey that we are 2 weeks into, and I can't wait for the rest of it. Questions. Are you in? More than I ever have been in my entire life, my friend. From Luke, have they changed the Leafs narrative or do they need to do more? Well, there were a few really major things that happened in this series that I think helped change the narrative in a big way. The Leafs were down 4-1 in a playoff game, came back and won that game. That changed the narrative a little bit. The Leafs beat Tampa in Tampa. They eliminated the Lightning, who eliminated them last year. That changed the narrative. And I tell you what, Leafs had the lead and blew it in Game 6, and we go to overtime just like last year. But they win it in overtime, changing the narrative. Now, this feeling that you feel right now, this euphoria that you feel winning, you don't want it to stop now, do you? Nah, that's the thing. I love chocolate. I didn't stop at one bite. The first bite I ever had when I was a wee lad. I didn't stop. I wanted more. And I had more. Look at me. But every time I have it, I don't regret it. And winning's even better because it doesn't rot your teeth. I mean, you might lose one in the process, but then you're Ryan O'Reilly, you have a Conn Smythe, a Stanley Cup ring, and look awesome. From Kyle Cushman, this is just a great tweet. Matt Nyes was on the ice for all 3 overtime goals. Riley's Game 3 winner, Kerfoot's Game 4 winner, and Tavares' Game 6 series winner. And speaking of changing the narrative, the Leafs are often the team screwing up in spectacular, history-making, never-done-before ways. Take a look at this. From Opta Stats, the Maple Leafs are the first team in NHL history to have 3 overtime road wins in a single playoff series. Hang it in the Louvre. Hang it in the ROM. Plaster it on the CN Tower. Oh, that's the stuff. That is the good stuff. And now, for the first time in my career, this is the 16th season I've been making LFR videos. I've made thousands of LFR videos on this YouTube channel. Thousands of videos for Sportsnet and SDPN and Nike and CBC back in the day. Thousands! Finally, for the first time in over a decade and a half, I'm going to get to make a video about the Leafs in the second round. And it feels even better than I thought. So, I got to take a breath. I got to change. This has to go in the laundry. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Brand new Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow. Now, if you'll excuse me, we got work to do.